going to keep this relatively brisk per team. We'll talk about major results, drivers, obviously, key results, and we'll even score teams out of 10, because that's always fun. So we're going to keep this to roughly 8 to 10 minutes a team. We'll have a little wrap-up of some of our favourite moments and some of the infamous stuff throughout the season as well towards the end, but I'm going to keep this relatively quick pace because I don't want to be here for the next 3 hours. So let's go. We're going to do this from the bottom to the top. So we're going to start at the 11th place team first and then work our way up. So, without further ado, let's start with the highly brilliant season of a certain Manor Mercedes team, Manor Racing team. 11th overall in the Constructors, just the 1 point to their name, unfortunately. It was that 10th place finish from Pascal Wehrlein in Austria. One of the few teams that went through 3 different drivers in a season as well. Obviously, their main team was Pascal Wehrlein and Rio Haryanto, but sadly, Rio Haryanto ran out of funds after the German Grand Prix, and Esteban Ocon took over for the final 9 rounds of the championship. Now, it's kind of I feel a little bit bad for Manor on this one, because they were having a pretty darn good season. I think, for me, they deserve quite a high score in the long run. We'll get to that at the end, but what I liked about Manor is that they are no longer the complete bottom feeders of Formula 1 now compared to last year, where they were still so far off the pace. This year, okay, they may still be bottom, but they're now, dare I say, competitively at the bottom, if that makes sense.
Go on.
Yeah, they can fight for 10th, which is okay.
I mean, in my notes, I've said they improved on 2015, and it kind of felt like the plan was to just survive 2015, given that they probably were surprised they even made the grid at all in 2015.
Yes.
The plan this year was just to survive last year and then start to improve this year, and it would have all gone to plan if it wasn't for those pesky Saubers.
Or in this case, the pesky Sauber of Felipe Nasr in Brazil.
Exactly, that's the thing that fucked up the entire plan, and now it's sort of put them back in a tailspin again of being put into like takeover thing. I feel like had they managed to finish the season and get... could this be, like, I don't know why we're not kicking up more of a fuss of this. Once again, the arbitrary rule that only 10 of the 11 manufacturers get any sort of money out of the Constructors' Championship. That seems pretty arse backwards if you're trying to encourage sustainability and teams to enter Formula 1.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not saying Manor people should be rewarded for finishing last, no way, but like Manor should at least, like, if Brazil doesn't happen, then Manor finish 10th, get the, what is it, $30 million payout? $40 million payout, and it's Sauber who are suddenly in a bit of trouble. Like, it's I mean, it's high stakes stuff, but it doesn't seem right, because that betrays just how solid Manor's season was.
I just think it's a bit silly in general that the bottom ranked team gets 0. I mean, I'd be okay with them getting the least of any other team, but the fact they get 0 is what annoys me the most. And
yeah, at least relegated teams from the Premier League get a parachute payment.
Yeah, they are actively encouraged to try and fight to come back up by getting a subsidiary payment from the Premier League. In Formula 1, in Formula 1 terms, it's just unfortunate that the bottom ranked team drops out like that and gets zero to show for it. But it's a shame, because like the position for me doesn't tell the story, because again, like I said, Manor last year were so far off, and they were sticking in like a sore thumb last year when it comes to being 3 or 4 seconds off even the bottom ranked teams in F1.
They were like close to invoking the 107% rule.
Yeah, on multiple occasions. I think early on in that 2015 season, they were close to the 107 rule. I think in Spain they're only about a second away from that. This year, sure, they're at the bottom, but they can challenge for some of the teenage score level points, and they did that quite a lot this year, where there were there was a lot of 12ths, a lot of 13ths, 14ths, that kind of area, where they can, if there's a couple of retirements here and there, they can get into the top 15, and that's progress. That's definitely a step in the right direction. And they also got their first point since the legendary point of Jules Bianchi at Monaco 2014 with Pascal Wehrlein's 10th in Austria. And I mean, King, it's amazing now we're looking at the driver market situation and Pascal Wehrlein, and seemingly his reputation is one of becoming of a princess. But let's not forget, this guy's still really good.
Yeah, he's pretty good, yeah.
He's alright.
Yeah, he's certainly above average for a guy of his age, and he definitely deserves to be higher up the grid than sitting in the last place team.
It's true, and I know he's got a bad rap for being a bit of a prima donna in terms of Formula One at the moment at the current state of time right now. But he's still a pretty solid driver for what he is, and it seems he's been given the cold shoulder at Mercedes over Esteban Ocon in terms of the brighter prospects. Given that Ocon is going to be in the Force India seat next year, probably in brackets, and with Wehrlein not. Also, probably, but it's we've got to talk about Ria Haryanto for a minute here as well, haven't we? And
Have we?
Yeah, we do a little bit. I mean, I feel a little bit bad for Haryanto because he did have his moments. He was a pretty strong qualifier out there as well. He was pretty solid on.
He did hold his own against Wordline sometimes in qualifying.
He did, and I think that some of the tracks where he had where his GP2 experience came into play. I think as the tracks that he was stronger on. His best finish for what it's worth was 15th at Monaco, which is a hard track to do well at, and it's a shame he was beaten by his teammate that day. But I mean, Haryanto running out of money was unfortunate. What I find most infuriating about Haryanto was that, like, he was actually pretty good in GP2 the previous year. Like, we were mocking him for being a pay driver because he wasn't as good as Wehrlein throughout his first time of the season, and then we all suddenly felt bad for him when he lost his job. Like, wait a minute. Like, which one is it?
It was like the Pastor Maldonado face turn at the end of last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's like which one is it here more than anything else? And
Though it was pretty funny how Manor tried to get Alex Rossi in that seat.
Exactly, that was pretty funny, and the methods like the crowdfunding, like we get a text in to all his buddies in Indonesia to get some money in so that Haryanto can drive a car, which is a shame because that is such an important market for motorsport to tap into because they're such a bike country in that part of the world, in that Southeast Asia. They love their bikes, and so for an F1 driver to come through would have been amazing for them as a country, but it's a shame it just didn't work out. Who knows? Maybe Manor's new ownership will give them a second chance. And King, before we wrap up the Manor section, I mean, what did you make of Ocon this season in terms of the 9 races he took part in? Because he was a bit rough to start off with, but I mean, 12th and 13th to close out the year, pretty darn strong finishes in the end.
Yeah, he definitely got quicker with every session he competed in. Every session he got quicker and quicker,
which is the most you can expect from a rookie driver.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it shows that next year, wherever he's racing next year, well, whether it's at least Force India next year, he's gonna be someone to watch because he's gonna be very quick out there and he's gonna impress a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. I can't argue with that. So, ratings out of 10 for Manor.
I'm going 5.5.
Ooh, I want to go 4.
Wow, 4.
Yeah, I want to go 4.
I mean,
damn, son.
Okay,
I'm going 5.5 because generally their plan was to be solid but unspectacular this year, and it would have worked had it not been for NASA.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm going to take a point off my score because they did get a lot of help from places like Mercedes giving them power units and shit like that, and they had a really, really good second driver dropped into their lap halfway through the season. I'm going to say 5 on this one. That's fair. I'm going to split you on that one. I don't think it was a bad year for Manor by any stretch. It was a good year in terms of progress made, but a lot of that was down to handouts and not really Manor themselves, so to speak.